How do you change other people? You actually can. Now, a lot of people say, and it's, I think, a common rule, which I don't really appreciate, that you can't change other people. You can only change yourselves. Yeah. We've heard that 1,000 times. In some way, it's half true. We can change ourselves. And I want to share with you a formula of how you can create the possibility of changing somebody else in your life that you don't appreciate, or you don't appreciate how they act, you don't appreciate how they make you feel. Whatever the reason is, I want to share with you a formula that isn't guaranteed to change other people, but I have had the experience, and many people that I have taught this technique to have had the experience of how other people change when they practice these things. Now, I've practiced this, I've discovered this, I was taught this. Actually, well, I wasn't taught how to change people, but I was taught each of these techniques in my training as a monk. So over the last 17 years, I've been on a spiritual path. I've been on a path of transformation. I reflect on myself daily. I really enjoy it. I love it. I extracted myself from a world of suffering and dis-ease, emotional drama, ups and downs in relationships, not really appreciating myself, getting injuries in fitness and exercise and sports that I was engaging in, not being satisfied in my job, being broke, being in tons of debt, and everything about that has dissolved. And now I live a glorious life, and all the things that I just listed are the opposite, right? So I want to share with you these steps that if you practice them with diligence and with sincerity, that you create the potential to change other people in your life that you don't appreciate. Now, there's a lot of courage and a lot of vulnerability and a lot of self-reflection involved in this. So it's going to take something, right? But you can do it. All right. So the first thing that we need to do is, number one, we need to accept the way the other person is. Now, this is the first great challenge that most people don't do because they don't want to accept the way that someone is because they impact them in a negative way, meaning a person that I want to change, that I don't appreciate how they are, they impact me in a certain way. I don't like how I feel when I'm around them. And I think that if I can get them to act differently or talk differently or make different choices, then I will feel better. That can be true, but it's not ultimately true. So the first step to practice this, you may not be able to do it in the first step. You'll get another chance near at the end. Practice accepting them exactly as they are. What does this do? It does two things. One, it lowers your own reactivity and emotional disturbance, let's say. The feelings that might come up that are hard, it'll lower that for yourself. You'll kind of relax for a minute. Okay, there's nothing I can do to change them. This is the paradox of change, right? That applies both within ourselves and in the outside world. If we just for a minute realize that there's nothing we can do to change this person or this situation, we accept it as it is for now, something inside of us and expressed by our nervous system will just relax. And that's what we're after, is that relaxation moment where we just chill. We just chill for a minute, drop the story, drop everything, and just accept that it's not going to change, right? And number two, this will lower the other person's resistance to your needing to control them to change, because they can feel it. Whether they are even aware of it or not, they can feel it on some level that you don't appreciate the way that they are. And they have their own story, their own narrative, their own probably emotional trauma that has them living the way that they do, expressing themselves the way they do, impacting you the way they do, that is rooted in their probably own family of origin stuff and who knows what else. It doesn't really matter. But that when you accept them as they are, regardless of the impact they have on you or on their lives or on people in their lives, on people in your life, it will start to, again, the possibility, not guaranteed, but the possibility will exist that they do the same thing as you. They relax. Oh, God, this person doesn't hate me anymore, right? So this is especially true with teenagers. If you have teenagers in your life, the more that you accept them as they are, because teenagers especially have just recently developed this protection that looks like them being, mean or what I was going to say something crass, but something awful, behaving badly, being very uncomfortable to be around, all of that, right? Their protection has just been born within the last few years probably, and they're not like crusty old adults like we are, right? So if we just accept them as they are, it will allow us to not react, and it will give the possibility of them lowering their resistance, right? And their fight, their need to protect themselves, their need to get in, fights, verbal, the battle, right? Emotional battle. It'll give them and they don't have to talk to them about it, right? Just within yourself, accept them, accept yourself and your reaction, accept them as the way that they are. And 2, it'll lower their resistance, right? Okay, that's number 1. That's the big number 1. Number 2, accept your own feelings about this. You might be like, yeah, I accept that I'm pissed and that I'm hurt and I don't like it. That's good. Now here's the clincher, is that you need to start to practice taking responsibility for your feelings in a way that you could feel not an infinite amount, but a very large, wide array of feelings about the situation that you're having. Now, you might say, listen, dude, there's no way to feel happy being in the relationship that I'm in with this person. They're my son, they're my daughter, they're my coworker, they're my partner, they're my mom, they're my dad, they're my sister, my brother. They live next door. I live with them, whatever it is. I understand, both for myself and people that I have met and people that I have been mentored by have created their own feelings through their perception, through their action, through their maturity, through their conscious transformation, which we're doing right now, in a way that they have created feelings around a situation that is quite extraordinary. And this is possible for you. It may not be possible or feel possible today, but the more that you, 1, accept your feelings about this, and then 2, realize that you are responsible for them, and you could feel a whole host of ways about this situation. So if you're feeling upset or angry, fine, right? Relax into it, accept that you're feeling those things, and then take responsibility. This is very tricky, and this is the place where almost everybody gets hung up on a situation. It's like, how could you expect me to not feel angry when this person is violent towards me, verbally violent, emotionally violent? Physically violent is a different story. You just need to get out of there, and there's a lot of help that people can give and get around all of that, right? So knowing what you want and knowing that you want to feel free and feel differently inside of this will allow you to take this responsibility and start to create something. There's a whole world of how do we create feelings given a certain stagnant situation, but this is the part that you can practice around how you change other people. Now, you'll see that changing other people has to do with changing ourselves, right? And that's kind of inside of this. And this is the beauty of that, us being creators of our world, is that when we transform ourselves, our world around us is transformed. As within, so without. It's a rule of life, right? So that's number 2. Number 3, this is the part where you'll have to take some kind of action about the relationship. Now, if you practice this over time, I would say the majority of the time, people will start to shift. Why? Because you are transforming yourself. And as you transform, the world will mimic and express and mirror the transformation that you have inside of yourself, right? And that being said, you may need to and will likely need to say something to this person or do something about the relationship. Sometimes, I don't know about often, but sometimes you might need to end the relationship. If it's a partnership that you're in, if it's a familial relationship that you're in, you might have to take space from them and tell them or not tell them, right? And just take space. You don't have to stop loving them though. In our teachings in our spiritual path, we talk about the distinction between love and relationship. And you can continue to love them, but you don't have to be in a close relationship where you talk to them every day, every week, every month. Maybe you take 6 months away from this relationship. If it's a parent, or if it's an elderly parent or a sibling, or maybe you switch jobs. Maybe that's what it comes down to. However, if you switch your situation and you don't do the transformational work that you need to, you will create and attract the same kind of relationship that you're in now. That's why it's critical that you look within and do that step 2. So if you practice these things, you really can change people. It can be done. Good luck and all my best.